Hello again. The second part of this lecture will focus on variance analysis. Now, we will focus on direct cost categories. There are two types of variances, price variance and efficiency variance. So for direct materials and direct labor, we can calculate price variance. With price variance, we simply comparing the difference between an actual price of the input with the budgeted input price. When you refer price variance for a direct labor, mostly we call this one as a rate variance. The second component is the efficiency variance. If we talk about efficiency variance, you are comparing the quantity of input, the actual one, and budgeted one or standard one. Let's have a look at direct cost variance analysis, how we actually calculate the variance. So the first box is actual price times actual quantity. That will give you the actual cost of either direct cost or direct materials. Now, the second box is calculating the standard price times the actual quantity. So that will give you actual quantity of input at a standard price. The third box is standard price times standard quantity. So that's standard quantity of input at a standard price. If we focus on the first box and the second box, we can see the difference. We focus on actual price minus standard price times the actual quantity. This is what we call price variance. If you focusing on the quantity itself, so standard quantity minus the actual quantity times standard price, then you will have the efficiency variance. Price variance plus efficiency variance will give you a budget variance. So let's have a look at an example. So this is direct material costs. Let's say this is our client, Foxy Company. It is a firm that manufactures and sells jackets. This year, in 2020, standard direct material cost of a jacket is, to manufacture one jacket, you need 2 square meters of cloth input, and it costs you $30 standard price per square meter, which means the standard cost for direct material is equal to 2 square meters times $30 per square meter. It costs you $60 for standard direct material cost to manufacture one jacket. So 2 square meters, this is what we call standard quantity per unit of output. And the $30, this is the standard price for your direct material. The actual direct material cost for 10,000, so after you manufacture 10,000 jackets, you look at your invoices. Here is your data. Square meters of cloth that you purchase and use to manufacture 10,000 jackets is 22,200 square meters, okay, direct material. The actual price that you paid per square meter of cloth is $28. Therefore, direct material cost, you need to multiply these two information, the first two rows, equal to a total of 621,600. The first one, the actual 22,200. This is the actual quantity that you purchase and use. In some company, actual quantity that you purchase can be different with the actual quantity that you use in the production, because sometimes at the end of the period you still have direct materials in your warehouse that you haven't used in the production yet. And what about the $28 per square meter? So this is the actual price, okay? Now, how do we use that information to calculate variances? actual price times the actual quantity. So that's the first box. The second box is standard price times actual quantity. So for the third box is standard price is $30. Standard quantity, remember the third box is the flexible budget. This is standard quantity that you allow for the actual production. So 2 square meter of cloth times 10,000, the actual quantity of output will be equal to 20,000. To calculate price variance, actual price minus standard price, remember this one can be the other way around, standard price minus actual price. Okay, you will have the same result, the same number, but you just need to be careful in interpreting whether it is favorable or unfavorable, times the actual quantity, which is 22,200 square meters that you spend to manufacture 10,000 of jacket. Then the use variance is 20,000 minus 22,000 based on your standard, okay, to manufacture 10,000 of jacket, minus 22,200 square meters of clothes times $30 equal to 66,000 unfavorable. Why it is unfavorable? Because according to your standard, you expected to use a total of 20,000 square meters of fabric to manufacture 10,000 jackets, but in reality, the actual production used 22,200 square meters of fabrics. Therefore, it's not running as efficient as you expected. Therefore, it is unfavorable. Price variance, in terms of the price, you ended up paying cheaper per square meter, which is 28, compared to the standard price that you set $30 per meter. Therefore, price variance is 44,400 favorable. If you sum this up, 44,400 favorable plus 66,000 unfavorable, the difference will be 21,600. It is unfavorable. Okay, unfavorable because the value of unfavorable is greater than price variance that is favorable. So this is if you do variance analysis using this column approach. You can also do it just by using a simple formula. So let's say we want to calculate material price variance. The actual price per unit is 28 minus standard price per unit is $30 times actual quantity purchase. Remember, if you want to calculate price variance, you need to use the actual quantity purchase. So price is purchase. The actual quantity of material purchase is 22,200. Now with the efficiency variance, actual quantity used, because we are focusing on the quantity of product that you use in the production, direct materials that you use in the production. So direct material efficiency, you use actual quantity used. That is 22,200 in this example, minus the standard quantity that you allow for the actual output, that is 20,000, times the standard price per unit of direct materials, that is $30. Therefore, the result is 66,000 unfavorable because you use more than your standard. Okay, now let's have a look at the activity for direct material variances. Exercise 11.22. Let's read the question, shall we? The Neon Manufacturing Company is a joint venture between Australian and Chinese firms with an assembly plant located in Beijing. The company's managers expected to produce 20,000 units of product in March. The standard cost for the materials used for 20,000 units is 173,600 yuan, and the standard cost per unit is 2.8 yuan per kilogram. Actual production in March was 19,100 units. The company purchased and used 57,300 kilograms of materials costing in total 163,305 yuan. First requirement: what was the standard quantity of kilograms per unit? So which one that's information? The relevant information from the question is the standard cost for the materials used for 20,000 units is 173,600 yuan. The standard cost per unit is 2.8 yuan per kilogram. How do we calculate standard quantity of kilograms? So how many kilograms per unit then? For standard quantity. You can calculate this one by dividing the total standard cost divided by the expected number of units to calculate the cost per unit. Then divide by the 2.8 yuan to determine the number of kilograms. Okay, so 173,600 yuan divided by 20,000 units, that's equal to 8.68 yuan per unit. Then you need to divide this by 2.8 yuan per kilogram, resulting 3.1 kilogram per unit. So that's the answer for the first one. So from this information that we already calculated here, 2.8 yuan per kilogram, this is the standard price that you set for direct material. What about 3.1 kilogram? 3.1 kilogram is the actual quantity per unit of direct material. Okay, the second requirement B. What was the direct material efficiency variance for March? Relevant information that I copied from the question. The company purchased and used 57,300 kilograms of materials costing 163,305 yuan. Actual production in March was 19,100 units. So how do we calculate direct material efficiency variance? The efficiency variance. Efficiency variance refers to the quantity. So we need to compare actual quantity and standard quantity. So which one that tells us about the quantity here? 57,300 kilograms is the actual quantity for this company. Therefore, to calculate direct materials efficiency variance, actual quantity used minus the standard quantity times the standard price. The actual quantity used is 57,300 kilograms. What about standard quantity? The standard quantity per unit that we got from the previous calculation is 3.1 kilograms times the actual production 19,100 units times the standard price 2.8 yuan. So 57,300 actual quantity minus 59,210 kilograms standard quantity times 2.8 yuan per kilogram. Therefore, the variance is in total 5,348 yuan favorable. Why it is favorable? Because the actual quantity that you use in the production is less than the standard quantity that you allow for that level of production. Therefore, the variance here is favorable. Next, the third one. What was the direct material price variance? Now we need to do variance for price. Price is focusing on the difference between actual price and standard price. Direct material price variance. Actual price from the question is 163,305 yuan divided by 57,300 kilograms in total. Therefore, actual price per unit is 2.85. Standard price per unit is 2.8 times the actual quantity that you purchase, which is equal to 57,300 kilograms. Because the actual price is greater than standard price, the difference here, or the variance, a total of 2,865 yuan, is unfavorable. Why? Because you paid more than what you expected, than what you set in your standard. Okay? Now, let's have a look at direct labor costs. Still the same company, Foxy Company is a firm that manufactures and sells jacket. In 2020, the standard direct labor cost of a jacket is 0.8 manufacturing labor hour at $20 standard price per hour. Therefore, if we need to calculate standard direct manufacturing labor cost per jacket will be equal to 0.8 labor hour times $20 per labor hour. That means it equal to $60 standard direct labor cost per jacket. And which information that we can use for calculating variance? 0.8. So this is what we call standard quantity that you set per unit. Okay, standard quantity of direct labor per unit of output. And the $20 is the standard price or the standard rate for direct labor used for the production. The actual direct labor cost for the 10,000 jacket manufactured and sold in January 2020 is as follows. Direct manufacturing labor hour use 9,000. That is the actual quantity. The second line, actual price incurred per direct manufacturing labor hour, is the actual price. To calculate the labor rate variance, simply rate is focusing on the price of costs of resources. So actual price minus standard price. The actual hourly labor price in this example is 22 for Foxy Company. The standard hourly labor price is $20 for Foxy Company times the actual direct labor hours spent on the production, that is a total of 9,000 hours. The difference is $2 times 9,000. So the labor rate variance is 18,000. This is unfavorable because the actual rate is higher than the standard rate. Now let's have a look at efficiency. With efficiency, we focus on the quantity. In this example, because we are measuring or evaluating labor hours, so we will focus on the difference in terms of the actual hours and the standard hours that you set to be spent in the production. The actual direct labor hours used for Foxy Company is 9,000. The standard hours that you set is 8,000. Why 8,000? Remember, we set 0.8 direct labor hours times 10,000 jacket that you manufacture times the standard rate that you set for this manufacturing or production, $20. In total, efficiency variance will be 20,000. This is unfavorable because the actual hour that you spend in the production actually 1,000 longer than the standard hours. We can also put this calculation in terms using the column approach. So which one that is easier for you, that should be fine, because you will still have the same result anyway. Okay, remember the third box is always flexible budget, which means for you to use the standard hours, you need to calculate how many hours based on your standard that you will allow for that level, actual level of production. In this example is 0.8 direct labor hours time 10,000 unit of production. Price variance 22 minus 22 actual price minus 20 standard price times 9,000 actual hours. Still the same. We have 18,000 unfavorable. If you look at efficiency variance, so the difference between 9,000 actual hours and 8,000 standard hours, this is unfavorable. You spend longer in the manufacturing process than expected, times $20 standard price equal to 20,000 efficiency variance unfavorable. So the sum of price variance plus efficiency variance will give you budget variance in total of 38,000 unfavorable. This is the same as figure 11.3 from your textbook on page 325, a summary of direct material variances and direct labor variance. Now the next step is we need to play a detective, like take the detective role. Think about what are the possible reasons for direct cost variances. This is a copy of figure 11.5 from your textbook, which I think this is really useful for you as a quick guideline in terms of a quick, as a good table that outlines. So what are the possible reasons for direct cost variances? So let's have a look at direct materials variance. For price, it can be because of the change in price for materials caused by a change in the quality, can be a change in the quantity purchase. Okay, if you buy a big number, you might get a discount, or perhaps the price change because you sign a contract with the new suppliers. Okay, another possible reason may be unreasonable material price standard. So you need to review your standard, whether you set it correctly, whether you need to increase or lower the standard price. And another potential reason, of course, there might be an error in the accounting records for the actual price of materials. So for efficiency for direct material variance, so it can be the normal fluctuation in materials use, or can be a change in the quality of materials. I'll leave the rest for you to have a look. Now let's have a look at an example or the activity. Sorry, this is not example, this is the activity on direct labor variances, exercise 1121. Following is information about Pine Furniture's direct labor hours and wages last period. Actual labor hours at standard price per hour, 1,680. Actual labor hours at the actual price per hour, 1,752. Standard labor hours at the standard price per hour, 1,750. Standard labor hours at the actual price per hour, 1,825. required. First, calculate the direct labor efficiency variance. The second one, you need to calculate price variance. Okay, efficiency variance. So what is it that we're focusing on here? With efficiency, we need to compare standard hours and actual hours. What about price? We need to compare actual price and standard price. So let's have a look again at these four different type of information that we have in the table. What is the first one? The first one is the actual labor hours, so actual hours or actual quantity times standard price. Okay, so that's the first one. What about the second one? Actual labor hours, so actual hours or actual quantity times actual price. So that's the second one. The third one is standard hours times standard price. The fourth one is standard hours times actual price. So how do we calculate the first one? Efficiency. Efficiency is looking at the difference between actual quantity and standard quantity. Okay, but which price? Times the actual price or standard price? It's so actual quantity minus standard quantity, or the other way around, standard quantity minus actual quantity times standard price. So we should be using the first and the third. What about price variance? Price variance is comparing the difference between actual price and standard price. Actual price and standard price. So the difference should be multiplied with actual quantity. Okay, so which one then? So we should be using the first one and the second one. So the answer to the question is direct labor efficiency 1680 minus 1750 equal to $70 favorable. Direct labor price variance is 1752 minus 1680 equal to $72 unfavorable. That's the end of direct cost variance analysis. Thank you.